Hello everyone and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade. I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 295. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. I had a small pause. Okay, there we go. Now I have my camera lined up with my with my face. So I had a small pause because I went to go make some tea and then tried to be productive for a little bit and forgot the number. Oh well, whatever. It's a chill Monday here right now, which is fine. What would it be? Let's see. Is there any other information I need to tell you? My name is Molly. I am the Deep Blue Renegade. I am wearing blue today, but green underneath, because green is an acceptable color as well, just not as beloved as blue. I decided after lunch to have a work from home day, and I totally had this Mr. Rogers cozy moment where I got back, I kicked off my shoes, I noticed that it was a little cold, so I hung up my light jacket, and then I wrapped myself in my Rose Holman, which is my alma mater, hoodie with zipped up the cardigan, and then I'm yeah, I just Mr. Rogered it all the way. So apparently I just needed a little moment of coziness, and then I ended up moving to a different place in the house to keep working, and I was oh, the sun is shining upon me, I'm comfortable here, no big deal. But it is lovely to have some tea. I think the set point for the house moved down slightly, and just looking for the coziness. So, what would it be? There's just a small amount of woe on this sweater, so I don't even remember where I left off. It's just been a week since I last. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, a few days. Slightly more than a week, but not too crazy. So I am working on this gorgeous v-neck boxy sweater. It is a Hohi Locatelli pattern, and I am knitting it with Shibui Knits Pebble in the Blueprint colorway, and Shibui Knits Silk Cloud in the Abyss colorway. And with their powers combined, I have this moody, deep blue color, which I am totally in love with. As you could tell from last week, I think, when I bought Inverse, different shade of blue, but basically going with that Black Bliss blue is awesome theory. So in this case, the black is seems to be dominating the screen in front of us, but see, you can blow up my face and then it is true to life. So whatever. Or the fact that the dynamic range of cameras will always disappoint me. So I was a little bit further on this and then realized I had made bad choices and had to retrace some of my steps a little bit, but such is life. So I have my right front is done, but my little left front isn't, and here is my right front, which is done, and then I have not closed the V, and my left front isn't. That's just junk. Would it be the number that I had in 2003, I still have, and at this point all I get are spam calls from it, and baby pictures, but that's okay. That was the best, that was the best thing you could get in the a friend from college contacted me and it's like, here are baby pictures, and it was happy. This would be the case where I believe that she participates in the Facebook but not the Instagram, and that is why I'm woefully, whatever, undernewsed. So, whatever. So I ended up doing too many ridges on my left front. I was doing like a hold-up comparison dealio, and it just seemed like I got to the right stitch count and I was at a very different length than my other side. So I don't know if that was a sign that I did something wrong on the right side, but I took it as a sign I did something wrong on the left side. And if it is in fact true that I screwed up on the right side, then I undid a lot of work for no apparent reason. But if I do make it to the correct stitch count on the left side and my right side is wrong, then this will prompt me to probably rip out the right side. Good news. The good news is that it wasn't a total bear to frog back to that point. Part of it was just making sure that I separated my mohair silk yarn from the merino cashmere silk yarn in order to make that transition okay. And it's possible that one of the reasons why it was so different was I might have been increasing too fast on the left front. It seemed like a likely thing, because it was the case where I was reading my knitting and being like, interesting. So I know that that could be part of why, because it'd be the case where I'm doing increases at a fairly slow rate, so doing like back-to-back ones subtracts a lot of rows from the total length, but it didn't seem like I was even in the ballpark either, so we'll find out. It's a mystery. I will do more soul searching if I reach the correct count again and it is still wrong somehow. But I am not yet working in the round. I'm still working back and forth, and in terms of recovering to where I was, in terms of recovering to where I was, sorry, I accidentally managed to stop recording and put a segment in, so it's like, So, in terms of recovering to where I was, it's still a little bit more to go. But if I make it to the recovery point and it doesn't seem much changed, then I guess that's a sign. I could measure for length too, but in this case I am increasing at a rate, so it'd be strange if it stopped being an even increase rate. I don't know if this is because I have like different levels of stress between knitting one versus knitting the other. We could talk about my other project to more thoroughly explore that aspect. So, let's see. Do I want to finish knitting this round? No, it's fine. So, one of the things that I find to be highly amusing about knitting with this Wollmeise yarn is that it does pool pretty spectacularly. And what I have going on right now is I actually have a spiral pool going on in the foot of this, whereas I had a stack pool going on in the foot of this sock. So I am knitting these at a subtly different gauge. And I'm not too worried about that. It's just, you can tell that all of these things are possible to do on this sock. And would be like, whatever, such as life. But it is just a little bit funny that it's occurring. So, I still have like another 1.5 to 2 inches to go before I'm done knitting the foot on this. So I will let it spiral away. It spiraled on the leg, so it stands to reason that it would have made more sense for this sock to have spiraled instead of making my S that I can see on there. Maybe it's a Z in real life. Whatever. Weird things. Yeah, because this is definitely my right hand. So this is the Jack pattern, which is Regina Sada pattern, I believe. And I'm knitting out of Woolmisa Twin in the Draken Blood colorway. So, because obviously dragons have really awesome blood color or something like that. So far so good. If I cozy everything up nicely, and then look, yeah, I still have a bit to go before I need to be worried about measuring for length. It is not close yet. Maybe I helped myself out by writing down what I did. So that is the story there. So both of these are getting carried around with me because it's neither of them are super big volume projects at this point, which I'm fine with. I should probably be spending more time on the socks because that is stoppering up any additional obligation knitting that I might do. I don't know. They're children. They have no concept of time, so. But in terms of not needing to mail stuff, maybe worth it. So that's sort of the story there. It wasn't a good weekend for knitting this weekend. The Dear Sweet Local one was in town, and there were he always makes the time fill up. So whatever, such is life. One big thing that I did accomplish though was I managed to make some progress on my spinning. And of course I forgot to grab my finished spinning object, so whatever. I should go do that. Oh. So this is my finished skein, which probably would benefit from a good old-fashioned reskeining, because it's definitely pretty crazy, pretty crazy looking right now. And it has been rinsed, but I'm not sure whether or not I've gotten everything out of it, and it does still need some more work, to be quite frank. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So this was initially a project that it was sent to me from someone who was getting out of spinning. It was a Talbot's bag full of what I think was like dyed Shetland locks. I used it as an opportunity to get some practice combing before I started to comb a project I cared about. I don't think I went, I'm not sure how much, whatever. So I had the pound of fleece that I'd gotten with the combs that I used as combing practice, and then I ended up combing the probably Shetland wool, but it's a mystery, and made little balls of top. And so it was sort of like yellows and oranges and reds and browns, and then when I combed them all together, it sort of resulted in this ruddy, russety brown color. So I put it in my bin this year so I would finish it. And then after the combing process, I had pretty much exactly 12 ounces. So what I ended up doing was splitting the fiber up into 4-ounce things, spinning, spinning those back to the top to make a traditional 3-ply. And then because my splitting wasn't entirely even, there was a section of the yarn that was yarn on itself and what remained from the last bobbin, and then at the very end there was a section that was chain plied because I had a lot on my first one for whatever reason. So I go to wash this, put in wool wash, and it is bleeding like mad. It is just spewing orange out of it, and I really couldn't figure out a good way to get it to stop. And so I knew that I was going to dye it anyways, and so it was a case where it didn't look like I was losing color in the yarn, but there was a lot of dye coming off. So I decided to throw in some delphinium blue and some apple cider vinegar, because that was what was lying around. And I went through and dyed this a slightly darker color. But what has resulted is, what would it be? The tone has flattened a decent amount, which I don't think that wasn't really my intent, but has been a case where I have decided, when I have decided to over dye things. And it is bluer than it was, which sort of makes this sort of a dark chocolate burgundy color, which is sort of interesting. I don't know whether or not it can properly show on the camera. It's hard to tell. So it is definitely less brown than it was before, but it is still pretty brown. I cleaned out my supply of straight up blue in order to do this, so I would need to buy some more dye in order to make it, to keep shifting this color. I ended up putting about a quarter teaspoon of the Wilton's delphinium blue in order to shift this color, and with 12 ounces, not nearly enough. With how dark it already is, I don't even know. So since I wasn't planning on going to like Michael's, or I know, normally I've gotten my stuff from Michael's, so I just know I can get it there. I'm not sure where else I might be able to get the gel. I know that I can't buy blue dye en masse like I can red and yellow, so yeah. Or black, like I think the only dye they don't sell in big containers is blue. So it will take more in order to finish shifting this to something that is a little bit more palatable. In terms of having it be something that I could wear now, yeah, no, not too crazy. In terms of like the feel of it, I'm not impressed with my spinning on this. It is, I don't know if part of this is the fact that the best parts about Shetland are actually the short bits, and so by combing the Shetland instead of carding the Shetland, I have removed that which makes it soft and retained that which makes it wiry, because it is a two-coated breed. I feel like I've made better Shetland before, but maybe I need to like fondle other Shetland things I've done to figure out how I feel about all that, but whatever. So it still needs some work. It is definitely bluer than it was before. It's just not anywhere near a shade of blue at this point, so not too crazy. In terms of yardage, and in terms of like the dye bleeding, like my skein ties are totally the same color as the yarn at this point, so I'm guessing it wasn't well set dye and that's why it was bleeding so much. So in terms of next steps, I can definitely see a situation in which it makes sense to reskein this. In terms of yardage, I was shy of whatever that whatever 100 yards per ounce sort of fingering, but it wasn't too far off. Let's see if I can look it up. Because I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, I also have a picture of what it was leaking out as. That seems like the picture I say. Nope. Lies. Alright, so I was just a little bit shy, so it was 1100 or whatever, 1164. So, just a smidge shy of what I was thinking. And I don't know whether or not I've changed it much. There definitely was a moment where I went back to the pot and saw that it was boiling, but it looks like there isn't any felting going on here. I don't know if I ended up getting maybe some more diversity in color because of how I kettle dyed it. I'm not sure. It definitely is a very large skein to be throwing in a pot. So this is done, and it feels dry now, so I can probably skein it up. But you can see this is pretty messy looking skein. There isn't anything I can really do to make this look make it look good. And I think this is also probably just a side effect of throwing some things into my bin that want, or what would it be? This is as good as, or the prep reflects my own prowess with creating that prep myself. And the dyeing reflects my, I probably should have bought enough raw materials to do this before I started. And it is quite possible that I won't be able to shift the color to the point where it will be my favorite color. But it certainly will, or what would it be? It certainly is going to be a, what is the word that I'm looking for? So it certainly is better now than it was before. So it'll be interesting to see. I may also, as the very last step, give it like a conditioner step. It certainly is maybe a little bit more engaging now after some rough handling and that sort of thing. It just looks sort of ridiculous as this like crazy this crazy skein. But whatever. It's done. It's a part of my bin. 12 ounces is gone. Which of course leaves the final thing. So I have started spinning my Ginny the Fleece project, the top, for real, all the way, and I think this is going to be some very lovely stuff. Or I certainly hope it's going to be, because it has been a long time coming. And looking at this fiber like under the studio lights, it's like, ooh, yeah. I don't think studio lights can even properly showcase what's going on. So if I put the fiber all the way up, I don't think it's actually going to focus or look like the right color based on where my computer is situated. So I'm not getting the full brunt of studio lights that far. There, you can see where my shadow is. It's yeah. So I just started the third bag last night because I finished 2 bags. And this is one of my piles of fiber. It is minus a decent amount, actually, because the piece that I was working on was very long. But it is gorgeous and soft, and I didn't really do anything to it, so there's no twist in my sliver on purpose. So what I ended up doing, one of the, I don't know which night I ended up doing on, but I went through and weighed all of my fiber of a certain color, divided that number by 9, and so it was the case where I had very close to 20 grams per bag for my teal and my purple, but I had a little bit less top for my blue, which is unfortunate, but not too much I could do about that. I had extra big waist gain. I don't know if I was too discerning about what I kept and what I threw. Oh well. So I have about 18 of the blue. So what I decided to do was I'm assuming that I'm going to end up not having any leftovers of my blue, but I will have leftovers when I'm combining blue and teal and blue and purple. So I'm just sort of going through and creating all the skeins that'll have leftovers on them. Maybe that makes sense? I don't know. The system is only as good as I can keep track of things in bags. I am hoping to be able to do a bag a day. I am already behind. So in order to finish before the 31st of December, that's sort of where I need to be. And it's not insane to be like 20 grams a day. And then, but what I hadn't thought about with that initial calculation was that I'll need to ply these two, which will take roughly the same amount of time as it took to spin. Whatever. So that sort of adds 9 days to the total. So, and I won't be around for all of these days, so like stuff's happening. So I will probably endeavor to get caught up and then maybe even get myself a little bit ahead. I think it's gonna be a pretty chill week this week, so and then the weekend is my oyster, so depending on what I decide to put a decent amount of time on, it may not be as insane as I was thinking. So, but I'm just very curious about how it's gonna look. So I think what I'm going to do is get through all of the teal colors that I want to make. So that will be, so I will end up covering what would it be? So this one has 2 teal, 1 blue, and then I think up next I will do the 1 teal, 2 blue to make 3, and see where that gets me, and then I will do the teals and purple, and that'll bring me up to 4, and then the 5th skein in that bridge will be all of the teals together. And with that final one, my plan is to take any leftover singles that I have and put it into the single color skein. So that way all of my leftovers are sorted. So I will probably have a little bit of leftovers after I finish making this one, and I'll just sort of gather them all up. Maybe just notch to pin each one as I go. So that's gonna be, I think, a decent amount of my focus for like the coming time. And I also have no clue how long this video is gonna end up being, so because it has had so many disjointed pieces, but whatever, such is life. So because there just wasn't really a good opportunity to podcast this weekend, or the best time to do it was like early Saturday, and I don't want to podcast then. So I figure a little late Monday, and then probably Sunday next week, and we'll see where I am on my fiber spinning goals, and if I have managed to make several skeins in that time, or who knows. I'm hopeful. I haven't really had a chance to say, for example, talk with maybe the organizers of the Spin the Bin to be like, hey, I was vague about how much of this fiber I put in. Because if we're just going off pure technicalities, like I did make a 2-ounce skein, which would have been enough to put me over my 12 total. It depends on how minimalist I was feeling, but I didn't really say how much of this I was going to spin. But there is going to be a really cool, I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but the Quack Fuffle is starting in January in the Fun Onion group. So, and that is knit, weave, crochet with fleece, which the acronym that we ended up coming with was Quack Fuffle. So that is going to be the perfect opportunity to synthesize this project and get it done. So I can see that as a positive for sure, but I would need to finish the project too. So it may be the case where I work on it for a little while and then get it all finished off. So it's possible that I may fail in my bin, who knows. I don't think I even necessarily knew how much fiber. Yeah, I'll have to maybe message the organizer about the intent and the spirit and whatnot, because it's also, my fiber stash is pretty small right now. I do have some things. I could be realistic about the fact that I will not be getting to spinning them anytime soon, even despite their small numbers. So the odds of me participating in Spin the Bin next year are going to be that it might be a thing where I feel in some ways almost like not too many people are still participating anymore. So I think that was a spin along that whatever is dying quietly and may not be revived. There we go. Because I do not have 12 ounces of fiber to spin, I don't think. And definitely not 24. And I'm not gonna buy more fiber when I have like my whole entire Yarn School 2018 stash. Even though there's no hope of me rescuing it. What I am hoping to rescue is my cast iron skillet. But it may just be unworkable because the stupid things are like $14. I may just buy a cast iron skillet. Or interrogate my father-in-law as to where in the world he put it, because we don't know. Tried looking for it this weekend. We found my spices, which is good, and I sent Bittersweet Level 1 off to California with them. But I really wanted my cast iron pan because there are some things that only a frying pan can do, and there are some things which you can do in a frying pan and it'll work. And doing that in a tall-sided pot, no, that fails. So, oh, it'll eventually all get sorted. It just won't be sorted right now. So that's sort of where things are right now. It's not too crazy. There's going to be a decent amount of travel coming up in the future, so I don't think that that's going to affect podcasting too much. So the week of Thanksgiving, I will record on Sunday. So we're going to have a nice run of weekly podcasts here. Perhaps that's why I decided to record today, because having a nice run of weekly podcasts sounds satisfying and happy. And then the schedule will be screwed up in December. As you do. Hopefully not too crazy, but it probably just will be screwed up in December, and we have to accept this. It's normally screwed up in December, so this would be typical. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.